Hey guys, it's June 8th, 2022, and I'm Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop FlossTube. And today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting ready for Jolly July. And Jolly July is something I started a few years ago with Priscilla and Chelsea from Stitching with the Housewives. And it started the year that they started their pattern company because they were making ornaments, and I thought that would be a great way for me to sew and stitch their ornaments throughout the year. So this year I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to be adding some of their other big designs and some of our designs. So it's going to be a ton of fun. So we're going to start with that. Then we're going to go in and show you all the stitching that me and Cheryl have been doing this week. And then we're going to show you some new fabrics that we got in. And so just remember, Jolly July, it's basically just a way for me to sew or stitch every day in the month of July. So I have a pop-up image of how I've initially kind of decided to plan out my days, and you can download this free calendar on our website, and it's just part of the full 2022 calendar, and you just print the page for July. And so it's going to be all month, and what I'm going to do in a minute is go project by project what I'm stitching so that you can all ask questions. But I'm going to be stitching a total of 5 big patterns, 9 ornaments, and then I've divided them up over 31 days. And so you can see, like, every Friday I have a Dapper Doodad, and that will be the day that Priscilla and Chelsea come out with that. Every Wednesday I have a tiered tray tidbit, and then I have all my other big projects divided out. So I'm going to kind of start in my book and show you how I plan. Sometimes you guys ask, you know, how do you stay organized, or how, you know, and everything. I get it done because if I write it down, I know I have to do it. So I'm started my Mania book, but I didn't use very much of it. So I'm going to add Jolly July for 2022. And then I might add Sunflower September if there's room. So this is my Mania. So I will go ahead and just start back here, and I'm going to go project by project, and by writing it out, I can you can also just ask questions. So any questions you guys have, let me know. I just put this paper in here because I don't like my pencil mark to go through. So my first project, I'm going to first show you, and then I'll write it out. It's Letters to Santa. It's a PDF that you can buy now. And the way it works is you pay for the PDF one time, and every Friday in the month of July, you'll get a PDF that morning with each part, and there are 5 parts. It's our second time hosting a mystery pattern for Jolly July, and we are offering a DMC thread pack or a Weeks Dye Works thread pack. And I'm going to be stitching mine on chalkboard black by Witchell, but I'm going to do a floss toss for you. And I'm going to be putting I'm going to use Weeks Dye Works, and I'm going to put them on my floss bitties, Santa Baby floss bitties. Now in here, what I wanted to show you, in addition to the floss toss, if you buy our Weeks Dye Works or our DMC thread pack, you get a free postcard. It's an actual postcard that you can use, so it's not the design, though. I will tell you, this is not the design, but the only way to get the postcard is to get the thread pack. And then I'm also going to be using a needle minder. So I'm going to open this up and do the floss toss so that you can see which colors you like better. So that's Liberty, Gunmetal, Whitewash, 2 skeins of that, Emerald, and then we have 2 blues, Capri and Morris Blue. So those are the colors of the WIPS Die Works. And then the DMC also has the free postcard. Same postcard. And those are your DMC colors. And this, all the trimmings matches. So I'm going to go ahead and write this in my book. And while I do that, you guys can kind of look at the fabric and see, you know, which one you like, which floss you like better. And this will give time for me to kind of slow down and for you guys to ask questions, because I was going to try to answer questions this time project by project. So this is Letters to Santa. It's designed by Fat Quarter Shop. And then I'll put the days later. I'm stitching on 14 count Aida and chalkboard black. I love stitching on chalkboard black, so that's one that I use a lot. The stitch count is 112 wide by 84 high. And that's going to be 8 by 6. And Priscilla finished this for us. I can give you a sneak peek of the finishing. And we put down what Priscilla from the Stitching with the Housewives finished with. They used their Pretty Plaids and Chelsea's checks. And this is your little hint. And just so you know, the sample was stitched by Cheryl using WIPS Die Works. And I'm going to use WIPS Die Works. And one of the great things about writing down what you do is if I, for example, change something, I can make a note of it. So this is, you know, just how I fill it out. This is what I do for every project I do. You don't have to do this. So that's my first one. Again, a 5-part mystery. And I'm going to put all of my stuff in this little berry project bag. So I'm going to put it in my berry. That way, sometimes I write down the bag because then I know what it's in. I'm someone who learns by writing things down. If you tell me something, I will not remember it. If I handwrite it myself, I will remember. And so that's why I do this. It's more for me, so I know what I can find. It's funny because now everything is done with computers, and if I was in college, I don't know how I would be able to do it because I just learned by writing down, which is why I have lists all day long. So that's my first one, Letters to Santa. So if you have any questions, let's see, let me answer them. Will it look okay on a different color? I mean, you could, if I was going to change the color, I would wait and see the full design before you do it. I don't, off the top of my head, I'm not sure like a brown is going to fit the style of what we're doing. And the gunmetal does show because it's only used a little bit. So in terms of different fabric, you know, you definitely can't use white because your white is going to get lost. I mean, you could try a navy, you could try a brown. It's up to you. I don't think it'll look as good. And we can zoom in on the floss. So I'll move this, trying not to drop anything. And I'll actually put the colors next to each other so you can see. And this is actually what we do. When we're picking colors, the first thing we do is we start with our fancy floss. We pick all of our fancy floss, and then from there we pick our DMC. Now our goal is not to match 100% because you'll never match 100% because otherwise you wouldn't need fancy floss. But we do make sure that within here, when you pull the DMC, they match and they don't clash. So that's really important. So sometimes you'll see a little bit different color, and the reason why is we want them to match. Do I write the size of the needle in my book? I don't, but I can on this one. It's size 26. And if you guys didn't see, Pat Carson needles are coming back in stock in July. And so if you want one of those, you can click on our website. We put that back online last night. The SKU number of the finishing piece is on the pattern. So it is 2095719 from Hobby Lobby. This is a good frame. This is a good pattern for a beginner, and I'm going to use fancy floss. The finished size is 6 by 8. During Mania and Jolly July, about how many hours do I stitch each day? About 3. I would say about 3, maybe 4. Oh, and then thank you for the compliment, Holly, on my shirt. It is several years old. I do have to take my car back to the dealership, so I thought, well, you know, I need to change clothes, so they're going to look at me like I'm crazy when I show up. So that's our first project. And then we'll move to the second project. So this second project is called Christmas Time. This one is going to be, and we talked a lot about this last week, but this one is tied to a motif fabric collection. So this might get stitched in Jolly July. If that fabric comes out first, it might not. And this one is either going to start in July or August, depending on fabric. I'm using the natural Witchell fabric, 14 count. I'm going to use the same needle minder, and we're going to do a floss toss. And this one is completely free pattern. And you can download now this sheet, which is the supply list. And so this is the DMC colors, and all the DMC colors and classic color works are listed on the Fat Quarter Shop website. So if you need that, let me open this so it looks a little better. Yes, and the postcard is basically just like a traditional postcard where you write your address, put your stamp on it. So there's 2 reds, 1 green, 2 greens, 2 browns, and 1 white. And again, this is natural. So there's a DMC thread pack and a classic Colorworks thread pack. So we've got ribbon red, ladybug, steamed broccoli, little sprout, cocoa bean, pebble beach, and bamboo. So again, this one is a free project called Christmas Time. And so what I do is I kind of just start with my pattern and start putting my information in my book. Oh, another thing that I forgot is I'm going to divide Letters to Santa in 5 parts, and I'll tell you real quick how I'm going to divide that up. Oh, I can't tell you because it's a mystery, but it will automatically be divided for me. And then I put my hours on each part. And this makes it easy because when I get home, sometimes I forget, oh, am I doing this in 2 parts, 3 parts, 5 parts? And like I said, if I write it down, I am much more likely to remember what I'm doing. So this one is designed by Fat Quarter Shop. I will add my days when I start. I'm stitching this on 14 count Ada Natural by Witchell. And this one's really cute. I really like the texture of this fabric. I've never used the natural before. And let's see, this one is 105 stitches wide by 95 high. So if you're using 14 count, that's going to come out to 7.5 inches by 6 7/8 inches. This is also finished by Priscilla with Stitching with the Housewives, and I can show you a sneak peek of it. And you can finish it on the wood tray set from Hobby Lobby, 1334184. And let's see, I'm going to use Classic Colorworks. And honestly, for thread, it's up to you. It's up to your budget. It's up to what you like. Use whatever you like. Just because I'm using something doesn't mean you have to. You could pull thread from your stash. I don't have the best handwriting. But if I were, I mean, literally, if I write it down, that's why I have a list all the time. So let's see, this one I'm also going to put in the Berry Mad for Plaid bag. So I'll know that there's 2 in there. I always keep my bags kind of to match the season. And I'm also going to use all the trimmings needle minder. And a size 26 needle. So I'm going to also put, like I did the other one, I'm going to sneak peek it also, but I'm going to show you the colors next to each other. And this one's just not getting as flat, sorry. So this is the darker red. And all of this is on the supply list that you can download at Fat Quarter Shop. And remember, the supply list is completely free. This is one of our free patterns. We do give you guys lots and lots of free content. And it's going to match the quilt. Not match it, but the colors. I mean, the colors really, they're going to go well together. So like I said, when we pick our colors, we start with our fancy floss. If we're going to do a fancy floss, because those have fewer colors than DMC. And then from there, we pick the DMC. But we do always make sure within each family, they match each other. That's more important than them matching each other, because, you know, if you're stitching on DMC, nobody's ever going to see this. And so I'm going to answer any questions on the Christmas time mystery. And let's see, there will not be a new Jolly July shirt this year. Right now, there's just too much of a supply chain issue. I'm going to give you a sneak peek. And for needles, sorry, I was covering it up a little bit. So, and ignore the black. The black is just so that you can, so we don't show you anything. Sometimes you can see, through quilting fabric. And all of our models that I'm showing you today are stitched with fancy floss. Cheryl stitches our models, and Cheryl always uses, if she has a choice, she's going to use fancy floss over DMC. And for needles, a size 24 is a larger needle than a size 26. A size 26 is bigger than a size 28. So if you're working with a 14 count, I would use a size 26 needle. If you're working with like 36 count, I would use a size 28 needle. If you're working with 10 count, I would use size 24. And also we have a cross stitch calculator. So if you put in the calculator what fabric you're working on, it will give you a recommended needle. Cynthia says, this will be my first mystery SAL. Do the patterns come out on the same day each week or different days? Yes, they come out the same day. This one we have not announced the days since it is tied to a quilting collection, but it will be the same day of the week. And for fancy floss, the way you take off your thread, you just take it off like this. And one of the great things is with Classic Colorworks, it's already pre-cut, so you don't have to stop and cut your thread down like you would on DMC. And what I do is, can I see one of the Santa Baby? I might have put it over here. The way that I do it before I start is I like this because it keeps it stiffer in my bag. So where my logo is, I cover that up, and I'm gonna put, this has 5 strands. So I'm gonna put 4 strands back on here, and then I put 1 strand on the top that I use as I go. And then I always have all my leftover stuff here. That way I have enough to finish. So that is number 2. And we did talk about this one last week also. So if you have any other questions, pop them in and we'll answer them. The next pattern you guys have probably seen online. This is one that you can see the entire design. Is it here? Oh, it's behind me. So I'm going to show it to you. So I'm going to show you the fabric. It is Mint Splash 32 count Lugana by Zweigart. The SKU number is 3984-5429. I've never stitched on 32 count before, but I'm going to do it. And this one was also finished by Priscilla. And on the back of the pattern, it tells you the fabrics. She used Chelsea's checks, and she got this frame from Hobby Lobby, and all that information is on the back of the pattern. And today, when I'm stitching with this, I'm going to start with a spring tension hoop so that I can kind of start, and then I'll see if I'm able to do the sewing method. I'm not sure if I'll be able to because I've never sewn on this, so we'll see. I'm going to give you an Ada alternative, but not quite yet. This one, we have a DMC thread pack. And this one I'm going to divide up into 5 parts, and I'll talk to you about how I'm going to divide it up. So here are the DMC colors. And this one's really cute because it's so small. I like the size of it, and I like the frame. So we're going to go ahead and buy one of the frames so that I can have it for when I send to Priscilla and the tray, because I'm going to finish those the same. So let's see, let's put the blues together, the browns together, and then Snowball. Okay, so I'm going to put this one in my book. This one is Sleigh Ride. This one is by It's So Emma. I'm stitching this on 32 count Lugana, and the color is Mint Splash. And this one, there's not an Ada alternative. Now I have one that I'm going to show you, but it is not the same company. It is not the same color, and it's 14 count, so it's going to be much bigger. But I'll show you that in a little bit. Okay, so this one is 91 wide by 63 high. So that's going to come out to 5 3/4 by 4. And you can always use our cross stitch calculator to calculate the size if you don't know it. And Cheryl stitched the sample and Priscilla finished it. This one I'm going to stitch in Classic Colorworks, and I just put too many C's. Somebody asked what kind of pencil I use. We'll link it in the Amazon shop. I did a test. I did a test with a bunch of pencils. I bought a bunch of pencils. I actually read a survey that said top 10 pencils. I'm not kidding. That's how boring my life is. And then I tried them. So I'm going to use Ribbon Red. And it's always great to do this because I do make changes. And that might be that I don't like the color, or it might mean that if I need to just put in 3 stitches and I don't want to buy the whole skein and I have something else, I can just put my note of what I'm going to do. And I'll also show the colors next to each other at the end. So if you have any questions on this one, let me know. I'm trying to answer them project by project. Oh, there's a thread called chai. I didn't even know that. My daughter likes chai. Okay, so I'm going to divide this into 5 parts. This one will be really easy because it's small too. So what I decided is I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to do the first 2 trees as part 1. The next 2 houses is part 2. Part 4 is going to be 2 houses and a tree. Part 3. Part 4 is going to be the red house and the 2 trees. And then 5 will be Santa and Rudolph. So on this one, I'm going to show you the colors next to each other. I'm going to have to, this one's kind of bigger. And I will tell you what I think of the fabric once I stitch on it. So let's see, we've got red, ribbon red, strawberry parfait, steamed broccoli, holly jolly or jolly holly. I always say holly jolly, but it's jolly holly. I always get that mixed up. The SKU number for the frame from Hobby Lobby is on the back of the pattern. It is 5672084. So that's the floss, so you can kind of see what you think. Again, I'm gonna use my Morgan hoop, spring tension hoop, Frank Edmonds, sorry. Okay, so the mint splash is definitely blue. It's basically like a light blue, looks like kind of like a snowy blue. And I'll show you how to put that on the fabric in a second. We did get a request to show you this, fabric. Snowball blue 14 count? It doesn't say it. Oh, snow on blue. Here it is, sorry. I'm upside down. This is Snow on Blue by Fabric Flair. I think it'll look okay, but I do think it's a little dark. And I'm gonna, but if you want to stitch on 14 count, this is the option. I'm just gonna put one colorway on there since it's all close enough. And then what I'm gonna do is put this. And if you use this, you might need to, when you get it, you might have to change these colors. I don't know. I think everything else will look fine, but it'll just be up to you if you want to change any of the colors. So that's a 14 count. It will be much bigger, so if you stitch on this 14 count, you can't use this frame unless you make it, really big. And you may need more thread too, because it's a more coverage. So now I'm going to show you how to put the hoop on. I will cut this down, but so you put the plasticky part on the front. I don't know, I guess that's what you would call that. And on the back, you push in. And there you go. And what I try to do is because I use this on other things like linen, not linen. Yeah, the linen I'm using. What am I using? I'm using. Okay. So spring tension is used on even weave. And Morgan hoop is used on linen. But what I wanted to show you is, we don't have a light blue Ada up here. So, to show you, we don't have one to show you. Because we were kind of hoping that y'all would try the 32 count. But when I'm using this hoop, I just have to keep this away from my threads. So if I'm stitching like with my right hand, I'll try to keep this off to the left, because my threads kind of get tangled in here. So that would be the disadvantage of this one. Okay, so that is the third one. Now we're going to move to project number 4. So project number 4 was released in 2021 by Stitching with the Housewives. It's called Jingle Bell Cafe, and I'm going to also divide this in 5 parts. I'm going to use chalkboard black, and on this one I'm just using the colors that are called for. There's not a, and we don't have a thread pack. This one you would just buy the thread by the skein. And a lot of you have already stitched this one, but I couldn't fit it in last year, so I was like holding it. If I see something I love and want to do it in the future, I make a note of it, and then that way I go back to my notes. So it's by Stitching with the Housewives. I'm stitching on 14 count Ada chalkboard black. And if you guys ever have questions on what fabric it might look different on, go to Priscilla and Chelsea's Facebook group. It's Stitching with the Housewives Facebook group, and people stitch all of their stuff on different fabrics, and you can see there how they do it. So it's 7 by 9. And these color, this is DMC and this is Classic Colorworks. So I'm gonna, and some of these we pulled from my stash. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll show you how I'm gonna divide this one out also. This one is available as paper and as a PDF at Fat Quarter Shop. So on this one, I'm going to do Jingle Bell as part 1 and One Santa. And then part 2, I'm going to do Cafe and Bakery with One Santa. Part 3 is going to be the trees and the gingerbread men. Part 4, cookies, cocoa, carrots. And part 5, the Santa and the reindeer. And the reason I'm dividing it up where it's so heavy in the front is so that I like to really do a lot of the legwork up front, so as I'm going it's less and less. So that is Jingle Bell Cafe and Stitching with the Housewives. And this one is going to be 7 inches by 9 inches. And the next one that I'm going to stitch is also going to be Joy to the World. It's also by Stitching with the Housewives. And this one is new this year. And right now it's only available as paper, but it will be PDF later in the year, 6 weeks from now. This came out this week. It's called Joy to the World. And so if you pre-ordered the pattern from us, it has shipped to you. So she has 12 grain, little sprout, really tealy, ribbon red, wagon wheel, steamed broccoli, and sea Shelley. So I'm going to write this one in my book, and I'm also going to divide this into 5 parts. So this is my larger, part of my larger projects. I'm going to have 5 large and 9 small. So Stitching with the Housewives. I'll add my dates later. It's 84 by 120. Oops, I put it in the wrong spot. I got ahead of myself. And it drives me crazy when I make a mistake. That'll drive me crazy. That's why I use a pencil. I could never use a pen on anything. It's funny because Kevin loves pens. He writes with like calligraphy pens sometimes, and I'm like, what are you doing? Okay, so 84 by 120, 6 by 8.5, and on this one she also has the number for this item, and it's from Hobby Lobby. I'm gonna do Stitchy Stars and Holiday Colors in December. So that is on my list already for December. Because I also stitch Christmas in July and December. I do it twice a year. And I'm going to have Lori pick the colors out for me. I always spell broccoli wrong. Always. And then from here, so those are my 5 large. Letters to Santa, which is a mystery, 5 parts, PDF. Christmas Time Mystery, 5 parts, free. Sleigh Ride, 5 parts, you can see it. Jingle Bell Cafe, 5 parts, and then Joy to the World, let me divide that up into 5 parts. So this one, I'm going to do Joy as part 1. To the World as part 2, so it's heavy at the beginning. The left, everything to the left of the house, so the snowflakes all the way down to the leaves is part 3. The house and the leaves is part 4, and then everything else is part 5. And then, as Priscilla and Chelsea send the PDFs throughout July, because they're going to have 5 Dapper Doodads and 4 tiered tray, I will fill them in that day. And a lot of them will already use the same colors I already have. So some of them I never even have to buy colors for, because they do tend to use the same colors. And I will be stitching all of these with my regularly scheduled stitching. So I will be super busy. Crazy, crazy, crazy busy. So I'm going to take a quick little break, and we will be right back. But what I want to do is during the break is I would love for you to put any questions you have about Jolly July in here now, so I can answer them all at one time. And then when I come back, I'm going to be showing you Cheryl's plans for Jolly July. So pop in any questions you have, and I'll be happy to answer them when I come back. Letting me take a little break. So for all of you asking what different fabrics would look good on any of Priscilla and Chelsea's designs, I see a lot of questions in there for that, for like Joy to the World, Jingle Bell Cafe. Remember, they have a Facebook group called Stitching with the Housewives, and people stitch all kinds of their stuff in there on different fabrics. So you can get ideas for different fabrics there. Chris is asking if chalkboard black is easier to see the holes compared to regular black. I have, for some reason, never had trouble stitching on the chalkboard black. To me, it's just as easy as stitching on white. In fact, I can stitch on chalkboard black much easier than I can on, say, a cloud, which is a white Lugana. So I think it's all kind of up to your lighting, but it's supposed to be easier than stitching on black, but because I don't stitch on black, I can't really compare. Oh, and Priscilla and Chelsea are watching. They say, thank you for stitching our designs, Kimberly. Yes, thank you for doing all the wonderful designs. My house is so decorated. My sister-in-law is coming for, she's taking her daughter, well, my niece, to Texas State, which used to be Southwest Texas. And so she's taking her on a college visit on Friday. So she's coming Thursday. So I was like, oh, I have to decorate the house. So it actually got me kind of in gear to decorate the house. Will the mystery Christmas be available for July? So Letters to Santa will be July. Christmas time mystery, it might be July, it might be August. That one is going to depend on the fabric delivery that goes along with that, since it's tied to a fabric delivery. So either July or August, one of them. Dapper doodads are small little ornaments, and you can put them on little blocks and have them stand up, which is mostly how Priscilla finishes them for me, or you can make them ornaments. But they release a tiered tray tidbit every Wednesday, and they release a Dapper doodad every Friday. And so in July, they're just going to be Christmas themed. And so it just makes it convenient because I can just, and they're pretty easy. I can usually stitch them in 3 to 5 hours, depending on how much detail is in them. And at the end of the month, they usually have a bonus chart in there. And so if there's an extra bonus, I might add it, I might not. Okay, Janice has a great question. I've never used Weeks Dye Works. Is it similar to Classic Colorworks, or is there a difference? So it is similar. The difference is you have to cut it. So it comes in a 5-yard length and you cut it, but Classic Colorworks comes pre-cut, so that would be the difference. Chris says she loves her cross-stitch journal. Would you consider adding a couple of small grid graph papers so we can record changes, design monograms? I haven't thought about redoing it, but there are a couple of changes I would like to make, so we can kind of put that on my list and see if it definitely wouldn't be like right away, but that's a good idea. So I will keep that right here. Ginger Lawson. Okay, so you have my maiden name. That's my maiden name. This is not a Jolly July question, but what are the pattern names behind you in the Christmas motif? Okay, so this right here is January Snapshots by Pine Mountain Designs. The one behind it, the one below it is Sleigh Ride. This one right here is Oh Dear. It was part of our Stitch Quarterly, but now it's available as a pattern. And the one below it is December Snapshots, also by Pine Mountain Designs. Oh, and we have some super chats. Yay! Thank you to Valeria Bauer. She says, thank you for being you. And then, oh, I'm so excited. 72% of you are going to be stitching along with Jolly July. So that's super awesome. I'm so excited. We're always trying to come up with different things to keep you motivated to stay stitching. And I know I do a lot of stuff, but what I'm trying to do here is just show you all different things. And at some point, you're going to like something. So that's a great transition to Cheryl's Jolly July. Hers is going to be different than mine. Her plans are to start or make progress on 4 larger projects, and she's going to start them on the Sunday in each Sunday in July. And then her goal is to also do 1 ornament a week. So she has picked out all her patterns and her fabric, and throughout Jolly July she'll be bringing all her pieces so you can see her progress. And then every time she finishes something, she also brings that. So we're going to start with her first project. Her first project, now she started this a while ago, and so that's what I said, is on some of these she's going to pick up what she's already started. This is Christmas Eve by Prairie Schooler. The fabric is 28 count blue classic snowflakes with silver sparkles by Fabric on a Whim. And she's using called for DMC. And I was going to try to, the silver sparkles are very light. So it's not, it is have silver sparkles, but it's not like overly, I'm just trying to show you so you can see like the amount of sparkles. So that's her first project. And she is going to stitch this piece. And then she does really like these other pieces. She's not going to do them in Jolly July, but she is going to do them in the future. So she does plan to do all of them, but her goal for Jolly July is the large part of this. So that's her first one. And how large is large for Cheryl? Pretty large. Her stuff is pretty large. The second project she picked is Kringle and Woolard by Plum Street Samplers. She's going to stitch this on 32 count ballet slippers linen by Fox and Rabbit, and she's using the called for fancy floss. So this one has a combination of Gentle Arts, Classic Colorworks, and Weeks Dye Works. And so she's going to use those. I'm just trying to show you the fabrics. So that's her second project. And so the first one was pretty big. Let me see. The first one is the size of it. I'm trying to find the size of it. "77 height by 155 wide, so it's about 5 by 10. And then this one is 79 wide by 114 high, so this will be, I don't know, it doesn't have it on here, the exact size. So that's her second project. Her third project is also a Prairie Schooler. This one is called Happy Christmas. And this one, she will be stitching on 16 count Navy Aida. And she always, anytime she stitches with Prairie Schooler, she always uses the called for DMC. So that's like a given. That's just something. Cheryl does not ever change Prairie Schooler colors. A lot of people don't. But she's going to stitch this on blue. I think it's going to be beautiful. It makes me want to stitch it. It's going to be so pretty. And she's going to be stitching this bigger piece. And I will tell you the size. Let's see. It is probably going to be 7.5 by 5.5. Around that. I mean, might not be exact, but. And this is just 16 count plain navy. It's going to be so pretty. And some of these, you're going to see her thread that she's pulled. And some of them, she hasn't. Okay, we're not showing the thread. We'll show it later. Her fourth is Christmas Eve by Cottage Garden Samplings. And this fabric is 36 count Edinburgh linen. The color is slate. It is fiber on the whim, fiber on a whim, and she's using called for DMC and Gentle Arts. And this one, the stitch count is 100 by 130. So this one will be pretty big. So her stuff is much larger than mine. And one thing you'll notice is she uses a lot of hand-dyed fabric. She uses a lot of linen. She does a lot of things that I would never even attempt to do. So it's great that she's so nice to let us show it on the channel because it's a totally different look than what I do. Oh my gosh, we got a super chat from Janet Buster. Thank you, Kimberly, for all your inspiration and work to keep us in stitches. Thank you so much. You are so nice. And it says, is Cheryl one of your stitchers or does she have a different job at Fat Quarter Shop? Okay, so Cheryl works 3 days a week and she used to work in customer service and now she does a lot, but she's one of our many It's So Emma proofers. And she just stitches at home on the side. These are all just things that she does. I don't, so she just stitches at home for fun. When I started with Cheryl's, I said she was going to do 4 ornaments. So this morning she is going to pick between Cappuccino 36 count Edinburgh linen by Fiber on a Whim, or 36 count Bramble Edinburgh linen. So she's going to pick between these two, and once she picks, the fabric is showing kind of funny on this one. Okay, there, that looks better. So she's going to pick between these two, and once she picks, she's going to make all 4 on the same cloth. And she's going to pick one from each pattern, and she is going to eventually stitch all 8, but she wants to just pick one of each, and she'll just pick as she goes. She doesn't want to have to pick ahead of time. You know, she just wants to kind of do whatever, and she's going to just use the called for colors. Okay, so now I'm going to answer any questions you have on any of Cheryl's pieces. And also just remember, if you ever have questions on Cheryl's pieces, you can always comment in the box and we will answer. And we always follow up and show you as she's stitching what she stitches on. Julie says, when does the next Bent Creek Pop of Spring kit come out? I don't know. I was kind of wondering the same thing, but we always get emails from her when they release, so I'm going to stitch that the second it comes out. I would assume probably July, June, July, because the first one came out in March, so that's what I would assume. Will the acrylic floss box be a forever product? I don't know. Depends. Supply chain, I don't know. I don't think I've made a decision on that yet. Does Christmas Eve have a lot of specialty stitches? No, I don't think so. Let me look at it. Let me look at it off camera. I see some back stitches. It's just cross stitches, and then right here, we'll zoom in. The only specialty stitch I'm seeing is right here on the windows, back stitches. They're just like plus signs. So it's all cross stitches. So the little cross right there, it's hard to see, but like there's just a little, yeah, most Prairie Schoolers are just straight cross stitches. Smiling Daisy says she's new to Fat Quarter Shop. I would love to hear the history. I think there's a thing on the screen. Oh, okay, there, it went away. I would love to hear the history of Fat Quarter Shop and how it became what it is now. Okay, we did a video on that. Search Fat Quarter Shop Kevin Jolly, and that'll kind of have a little bit of the history in it. But it's been 19 years of a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, and a lot of wrinkles. Oh, I need to get some wrinkles out. Will I be doing a Stitchy Star conversion to Christmas? Yes, I am. And we'll add that to our agenda with Lori to pick those colors, or if she's in chat, she'll see. But I have that planned for stitching in December. But I am going to do, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do like traditional red and green, or if I'm going to do kind of like softer colors. But yes, that is on the plan for this year. For the Christmas Mystery Stitch Along, would chalkboard black work well? I don't think it would because of what is on it. I think you would have to change the colors. I don't think the font would stick out, so I would say no. Can you have Gloriana thread on Fat Quarter Shop? I think we've tried to reach out to her and haven't heard back. That was... yeah, so we have emailed her and haven't heard back, but if she ever gets back to us, that would be something that we would kind of like with Cottage Gardens threads. What we did is we picked some, started with those, and depending on how they sell, we'll either add colors or not. So it kind of depends on the sell through. So now that I've gone through Jolly July and took up an hour on that. I'm going to talk about my WIPS. And all of these WIPS that I'm working on, I will continue those throughout Jolly July if they're part of my annual kind of stitching. So I'm going to start off with what I've been working on. And yesterday, if you tuned in to Stitchy Talk, I stitched the pink granny square, and we are going to have a video in a couple of weeks that is going to show you how to make some cute little pillows, and so you'll want to tune in to that. Granny Square is a completely free pattern designed by Lori Holt. This block was for June 8th. This one is for June 15th, which is next week. And then on June 22nd, I'll do block 3. And June 29th, I'll do block 4. And then I'm going to frame this in a frame, but we also have some pillow ideas for you. And with the pillow ideas, just remember, we're showing it to you with a small one, but you could do the same concept with all 4. So that's something to keep in mind. So that's my first WIP. Make sure you watch yesterday's video. The next piece I'm going to show you is also by Lori Holt. This is a paper pattern that just came out this week in a PDF. So if you are an international customer, this is now available as a PDF. And so this week I stitched block 8, I think, and then I added some of the little flowers. This week what I'm going to work on is block 9, and I'm going to finish all of these flowers, and if I have enough time I'll add a couple over here, but my goal is to finish this by September, which is 3 months earlier than I originally planned, but I cannot wait to get this one framed. And I'm actually going to show you real quick the frame that Lori put on hers, because I love it, and it's hanging, or it's sitting up in this room, and I love it so much. And so I think I'm going to send mine to Lori's framer and have it framed the same way, and then just not put glass on it so that it won't break when I ship it to myself. Or I could just go to her house and get it and then carry it on the plane. So it's so pretty. And that was framed in, we put the framer's name on the pattern, but it's in Salt Lake City is where it was framed. And so yeah, I'm just making progress on this one. Super fun. I think I spent a lot of time. I think I spent about 5 hours on it this week. It's kind of one of those ones that I can't put down. The next thing I worked on this week is Holiday Hallmarks Halloween. Now, earlier in the year, we did Patriotic. There's going to be 4 of these. So this is the second one. This is a PDF pattern. And I'm using Fragrant Cloves and Cast Iron Skillet by the Gentle Art. And we did get a shipment in from Gentle Arts yesterday, so I'm hoping these came in on that shipment. But this is a PDF, and we have the chart divided up into 4 pages. And so I did page 2. And then I always try to get a little bit ahead. And so the tail was up here, and I was like, oh, I can't just stitch a couple stitches. I got to stitch the whole cat. So this week I will do page 3, and I'll probably even cheat a little bit. And then I can't remember, did I get the Patriotic one framed? I can't remember where my Patriotic one is. I think it's at the framer. I took a lot of stuff to the framer, so I can't even remember what they have. And I'm actually going to go there again today. They're going to have so much of my stuff, because I've been stitching all these really big, humongous things that are way too big to send to Priscilla. The next one I'm showing, I love this one. Oh my gosh, this is going to look so good. I'm so happy with this one. So when we had Kathy from Hands On Design as a guest, she talked about this piece and it reminded me, and I thought, you know, I've got to make this. So there is it's called the Laundry Company series from Hands on Design. It's 3 separate charts. And within that chart, she has this free pattern. Well, it's not free, it's a paid pattern, but it's a bonus. So I'm gonna put wash, dry, fold. So this week I'll finish fold and then I'll take it to the framer, and I'm hoping to leave a lot of the fabric showing. And this only took like a little over an hour. And this is marbled white pine board by Fabric Flair. So it's just got a little bit of a board. And her letters are aqua with a brown accent. And I'm doing hickory sticks with really tealy as an accent. And this is, if you look at this, you can tell this is a couple of skeins that were left over from previous projects that I kind of grouped together. And that I do that to save space. So this one will be finished. I'm actually going to try to finish it today. And I'm going to the framer today. And if I finish it today, I'm just going to take it to the framer. And then that way you guys will just see it when it's done. So I love this one. I'm so happy with this one. This is very simple, but I know it will fit my house and I know exactly where I'm going to put it. And that's always great when you've got a place for something. Oh my gosh, I feel like I talk so long on these live streams, but I also stitched this week. This is Summer Refreshes by Summer House Stitchworks, and I stitched column 3, and then this week I'll stitch the red, which is column 4. And then I did the previous 2 part of the series. Previous 2 in this series in Mania, and then when the 4th one comes out I will do the same, and I'm going to try to frame it with something very similar. But what I did want to point out is I am stitching this on Espresso 14 count Aida by Fiber on a Whim, but the model was stitched on 40 count, so that's a huge difference in size. Mine is going to be much bigger. Hers was much smaller, but it still looks great. And so will probably need like 2 skeins of some of the colors. Probably the red and the blue. The green, I probably only need 1 skein. But because I'm using 14 count and she used 40, you know, I'm going to need a little bit more floss. And this one is a lot of fun. I really like stitching on the Fiber on the Whim. I saw some questions on, do I like working on it? And I do, because I like the color. I don't feel like my stitches are as pretty, but nobody knows but me. And you guys, but you won't see it. Now my laundry stitch pattern, I'm gonna stitch with a big wooden frame, and I'm gonna leave a big border. Okay, the next one, I got ahead of myself. This might be my favorite for the year. This is Fall on the Farm by Little House Needleworks. And this is the one that I'm supposed to only stitch 2 hours on. But this week I did like 2.5. And I got the cow done, the crow, the sun, and then the little tree and the little crow. And then I did look on her Instagram, and she has not sneak peeked part 7 yet that I saw. But once part 7 comes, I'll stitch, 2 hours. But each of the blocks, it takes me with the border about 5.5 hours. So the border takes about an hour, and then takes about 2 hours to do part of it, and then 2.5 to do the other part. So this one is Fall on the Farm. I did change a couple of the colors, and I am stitching on Aida where she stitches on linen. Now this one, I'm so excited. So I finished June calendar crates, which means I have all 12 of the calendar crates done. So we're going to send this to Priscilla, and then when I get it back, I'm going to show all of you all 12, and then I'm going to take it home and actually use it. This one took me quite a long time for some reason. And I think it was just all the start and stops. I felt like this one I was never going to finish, but I did get it done. And so I'm so excited because later this week we will be shipping out, or beginning of next week, month to month. We're expecting it any day. It hasn't arrived yet, but the same day we get it, we will ship it out. So I'll be there, and I did already start the first one, but that way, since I finished calendar crates, I'll have room in my schedule to stitch month to month. And this is chalkboard black 14 count, which is what I kind of always use. Okay, so now I'm going to take a couple of questions, and then I'm going to go into I have so many segments today. We still have about an hour to go. I'm so sorry. I have a lot today. There is not a winter in the farm, but hopefully Diane watches and can see your suggestion. There is no brick and mortar store for Fat Quarter Shop. We're just online. Can I discuss the choice of background fabric? It can be hard to make the first change from a dark to light. Yes, and like I said, it's great to join Facebook groups. So whatever designer you're using, they should have a Facebook group. And then you can go in that group and put a picture of the pattern and say, hey, I'm new. I really want to stitch this XYZ pattern. Have any of you stitched it in a different color? And I guarantee you will get post after post after post of suggestions. So that would be my first thought. And I would say, as a beginner, it would be great to kind of just start easy. Start with something small and just go from there. Okay, so speaking of Kathy, when she came a couple of weeks ago and was part of our show, I remembered that I had started Well Hello There. I started this in 2017, so 5 years later, I'm done. I'm going to show you all of the pieces because I'm taking them to the framer today. And then I'm going to talk about what we're going to be offering. Now, none of it is in stock yet except the pattern, because we have to have time to get it. But we are going to have a DMC thread pack in a couple of weeks. And in a couple of days, we're going to have a button pack for all of the months. And I'll talk about the fabric. But we're going to zoom way in. That's perfect. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the button placement. So if you look, she has it on the front and the back of the pattern, by the way. When Kathy made her buttons, she put them further together, closer together. I was a little nervous to do that, so I kind of started in the outside, added a middle button, and then added these. So my buttons are further apart. You're going to notice that, but that's okay. That was the way I felt comfortable. But I'm going to show you all of these so that if you want to see how I did it, you can always go back to it. But I am going to take these to the framer today. I'm going to try to pick like a really thin frame and get it really tight so it comes out really small. So this is January. And again, we're going to have a DMC thread pack. I didn't change any of the colors. I kept all of the DMC the same. I kept all of the buttons in the same order she had, following the diagram on the back. She does have a finishing tutorial for this layout, and the way to get it, there's a link in the pattern. It's not on her website. You have to buy the pattern to get it. And these patterns are hand dyed, and these buttons are hand dyed, and these buttons are clay. They're handmade by Cecilia. And we have a video on our quilting channel showing how she does that. And so these are so fun. And I had some of them done, but I spent my Sunday finishing this. And we had a club in 2017 where you got each month, you got the thread and the buttons, but that was 5 years ago. So we're trying to bring it back in a different way. So we've got May. This one's super cute. And I just used different, different floss for the buttons. I tried to match it a little bit. June. So they're all different. They all have a border. They all have the month, and then they all have buttons. So they all come out slightly different. Some are long and rectangular, some are square, some are, hexagons. So they're all different. But I am so happy that I had Kathy on so that she could remind me. This was in my closet. It took me only about 2 seconds to find it. But man, finishing it, I had to go back and try to remember what I had done and not done. This is September. October. November. And like I said, I'm going to try to get it framed really close so that they're super small. And then this is the biggest one. December's big. So they won't all, the way I finish them, I'm not going to finish them all the same size. Now, you could if you follow her tutorial, but I don't think I have it took me all day Sunday to kind of finish this. So, I didn't think I have time to add that to my finishing schedule. That's just too much. Now what I'm going to talk about is, okay, so again, in a couple of weeks, we will have a DMC pack. We're just waiting for the DMC to arrive. And that pack will have all the thread to make January through December. And it will, it tells you in the pattern, where all the floss goes, and some of the flosses are used a lot, like this brown is used a lot, so you get 2 or 3 skeins of it. We will also be selling a button pack. We're going to sell a full set of all 12 months. That will be probably later this week. The pattern is in stock. So the pattern is in stock now, so those are the 3 things. Now, we're going to talk about fabric, and this is like the #1 question we get, and so I'm going to try to explain it the best I can. When I made this, it was 5 years ago. I have no idea what I used. It was 5 years ago. I have no idea if it came in the club. I don't know what I used. So we're recommending one of these. This is antique white, and this is white. Either one works perfectly. So just use a white. Now I do think you should stick with 16 count, because if I've already spread out my buttons much more than Kathy did. If you make it 14 count, it's going to be spread out more. So my suggestion on this, 16 count, pick a white. Do not use a fabric flare. It's going to take away from your buttons. Don't use anything with the print. I wouldn't use anything hand dyed. It's going to take away from these beautiful buttons. So on this one, I'm going to highly recommend 16 count, either white, off-white. I think I probably went and bought something cheap from Hobby Lobby. That's probably what I did, because back then I didn't even know about Witchell. So, oh, and then it says no border on November. So this is the border. It's a smaller one. So they're all like, let me show it to you overall. So some have a border around, and then this one just has a border at the bottom. And that's how they look. And she does have a video on finishing, and I'm just not going to finish it that way because I don't have time. It doesn't mean I don't like it. I just don't have time. I would rather I would rather spend my time stitching. Okay, so now I'm going to answer a couple of questions before I go on. How is Piggy? Oh my gosh, Piggy is so good. There's a funny picture. I can't show it because my kids are asleep, but I woke up this morning and I got out of bed and I was like, where is Piggy? He was under the covers. He had gotten under the covers and Christopher's legs were on top of him. It was so funny. I mean, he was sound asleep. He was totally fine, but he was like covered up with, it was so cute. But he's doing really good. He does have to go in to get his teeth cleaned, so that's never good. He doesn't like the vet. Beryl asks, when will I be talking about houses on Peppermint Lane? In a couple of months. So we are finalizing the colors. Actually, we have finalized the colors. And what I'm going to do is we're working on the cover sheet. I'm going to stitch one to make sure that it looks good because we changed the colors quite a bit, and then we're going to release it like October or so because we're going to be doing that sew along in 2023. But I do like to make sure that I get everything right so we don't, just because we're going to do a sew along, we don't rush it because we want to make sure that it's right. When Cheryl stitches, she does not use a floor stand. She uses either a spring tension hoop or a Frank Edmonds hoop. Can you unfold the fabrics to get a better feel? Oh, the whites. I can unfold the whites. Yes. I'm not sure if that's the one you're asking. So this one is plain white. And honestly, I just don't think this is white. I don't think it's going to matter because you're not going to have the other one next to it. Why Witchell? Is it softer? We just pick Witchell because it's white. They have a plain white. So just pick any white. You can go to Hobby Lobby and buy their white. You can buy anything. Do whatever you want. And if you use Witchell, you need 3 packs to make all, because she recommends that you start with a 9-inch square. Now, you can start with something smaller, but she recommends you start with a 9-inch square because of her finishing and so that you have plenty all the way around. So this one, like I said, this is probably something from Hobby Lobby. This one is white, and this one is antique white. So if you're going to stitch all 12, you would buy 3 packages of Witchell. But like I said, anything that's white and anything that's 16 count is going to be perfect. You could try 14 count. I just don't think the button placement is going to look that great. And I think if you use anything but just a very plain white, you're going to lose the simplicity and the beauty of the design and the buttons. Okay, so I'm just going to move these so we don't mix them up. If a pattern is on 18 count Aida and I use 14, will I need more floss? You might. It depends. So what I would do is just kind of look at the cover, and if it looks like you're going to need more, you can buy more, or you could just wait until you if you run out. Okay, so I still have more that I stitched, and I'm so excited to show you this next one. Okay, yesterday I was filming all morning. The glass is glaring, sorry. Those are all lights. Okay, so I'm going to move it so you don't see the lights. Oh, look, I fixed it. I was filming all morning, and I went to my office, and I had pre-ordered the Liberty Silk Pack, and it was sitting on my desk, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cute. Now, I'm going to show you what comes in it. So on the other side of this, I can't flip it over because it's the pattern, but inside here comes the floss. So you get, and it's Belle Soie. She lists the colors. You get 1 yard of blue, 1 yard of a red, and 1 yard of a white. So they're Mer Blue, oatmeal scone, and red fox. So if you want to try silk, this is an affordable way to do it. But I thought I could not wait to make this. So I sat down at my desk. I cheated. I ran to Denise's desk and grabbed some fabric. It's all the fabric I showed you last week, which is vintage country mocha. But because I wanted to stitch this on 14 count, and I wanted to show this to you today and not wait till next week, I went home and stitched it because I wanted to see. She recommends you stitch on 32 count. Because of that, I didn't know if there was going to be enough floss for 14 count. So there is. And I stitched it in 2 hours. I stitched it before I went home. And the silk has 12 strands to it. You're going to love stitching with it. Every time I stitch with silk, I think, why am I not stitching everything with silk? Because it's so much easier to stitch with. It just glides through your fabric. And I just use the same needle as I normally would. And you just have to be careful with the blue. I have 2 strands left over. So if you want to stitch this on 14 count, you have plenty of floss. And that was my main thing that I wanted to show you. So, and it comes like this. It's called the Liberty Silk Pack. I think it's limited edition. I'm going to show you some fabrics, but before I do that, I'm going to show you how I finished it. I went to Home Goods on my way home, and all I did is I cut it 4x6, and I don't have sticky board at home. I just have never bought it, and honestly, I don't have anywhere to put it, but I have a ton of soft and stable. So I cut a 4x6 soft and stable, just put it back there, and then it just is a little bit harder to put that in. And this frame that I bought yesterday was $7.99 at Home Goods. So I'm so proud of myself. I got it framed. Now, I'm going to be honest, when I was there, I bought 2 frames. I bought one that was a little bit more aqua. I bought this one, and then I had a white frame that was, it's 4x6, and I stitched on 14 count. So if you're stitching on 14 count, it will fit in a 4x6. I also had a white one. So I cut it as 4x6, stuck it in different frames, and then decided on the blue. But it's a very affordable way to stitch with. The most expensive part is going to be your fabric. So you could just pick. So I stitched mine on 14 count oatmeal by Lori Holt, which is the same as Vintage Country Mocha 14 count by it's Weigart. So this is what I stitched on. You can either buy Vintage Country Mocha 14 count or Oatmeal by Lori Holt. If you want it to be bigger, this is 25 count Vintage Country Mocha. But on this one, I'm not sure on the blue because this goes bigger. So I would be careful on the 25 count. I would use every single inch of your blue. And it's a 4x6 Home Goods frame, and I did stitch on the mottled side. This fabric is plain on one side and mottled on the other. If you want it to be smaller, you can do 27 count Linda cloth, and that one you would have enough thread. It just isn't going to fit in a 4x6. This is 28 count Vintage Country Mocha. And 40 count. Now Cheryl is, and we also have some other 32 count, 36 count. Some of them are sold out, but they'll be back in stock. We get them by the bolt and then cut them down. So if you want to frame it in a 4x6, just do 14 count. Be careful with your blue. And I had so much fun stitching it. I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, so fun. So I'm going to answer a couple of questions and then show you what we have that's new. So Kathy is asking, is it stiffer 14 count Ada or 14 count Witchell? So 14 count Ada is the type of cloth, Witchell is the brand. So Witchell is stiff, but I like stiff. You can get fabric flare, it's slightly softer. If you get hand-dyed, it's going to be very soft, but So basically what I was trying to say, I probably confused y'all, but on the hands-on design, the number one question we get is, what fabric do we change it to? What fabric do we change it to? But I honestly think just pick a white 16 count. Doesn't matter, whatever brand you like. Can it be stitched as one piece? I don't think so, and I don't think it will look good because it's squares, rectangles, octagons. I don't think that would be good. There will not be a Hello Series club because we had a club in 2017. So we're just bringing back something that I hadn't completed, and it just motivated me to do it. But I'm making it easy for you guys by doing a thread set and a button pack. Cecilia just needed some time to like put the thread pack together for us. So now I'm going to show you. This matches perfectly. We have a brand new Liberty box. It's a quilting Liberty box. This is a mystery box filled with patriotic goodies, which includes a special exclusive quilt pattern. It's not cross stitch related, but I wanted to share it with you because it benefits the Quilts of Valor Foundation, whose mission is to cover service members and veterans touched by war with comforting and healing quilts of valor. And we will be donating $7,500 to Quilts of Valor from the proceeds from the sale of this box. If you bought the box, it is a mystery. It ships out this week. But I can show you, that might be a little hint right there. But it, oh my gosh, it's like perfectly matches what I stitched yesterday. I mean, I couldn't have planned it better. And I did not change the flag on the Liberty chart. I did not make any changes to this chart at all. If there's a change, that means it's a mistake. And the floss in the Liberty pack is a not limited edition. They are available separately by the skein. You just have to buy a lot more. So those 3 colors are available separately. I do not have a SKU number from the frame because Home Goods just doesn't have SKU numbers. It's just kind of, you find what you can on the shelf. I did look. The brand of that was Thomasville. I can tell you that, but that was all I could find, and I couldn't find it on Amazon because I did look. So for new items this week, Hello Summer was released Friday, today, and that's a tier tray tidbit. And then last week, Freedom Farm was released. So cute. So these are brand new from Stitching with the Housewives. And then this, we're going to show it to you a couple of ways. This we found out about 8 months ago, and I was so excited about it. It's a needle minder holder. It is from Riley Blake Designs and Flamingo Toes. She has great needle minders, so she had Riley Blake put together a board for her to put her needle minders on. So I'm excited because I ordered it such a long time ago, but I want to show you some things about it that are really cool. So in the box, the way it comes, these are separate. They're just magnets. So you can hang it on the wall with this. You can set it on the table horizontally. And the magnets really stick. Or vertically. So this is going to go home with me. And I'm going to start collecting all my things. And what you could do, let me have a pattern. Right here. If you want, if you have a table next to you and you want to put the pattern on it and you want to follow it, there you go. You can put this on your table, and since it's horizontal or vertical, you can use it as a needle minder or a pattern keeper, or you can just, like if you're in your kitchen and you want to put your recipe here, you could use that. You could put it in your kitchen. You could do, there's so much stuff you could do with this. You could even, if you found just some cute like fonts or something, you could put it on here, like cut them out with your Cricut. Now my pattern doesn't want to come out. But you could, you know, put a saying on here. You could put one of Priscilla's designs on here, like the the summer. I have one of her designs that says summer. That would look really good. Oh, and it's kind of chalkboardy, so it's leaving marks. But this is, I'm very excited about it. Can you tell? Very excited. So that came. And, okay, it was announced yesterday afternoon. Yarn Tree has the exclusive rights to the Pat Carson needles, and they have been able to get them remade. Now, I don't know anything about how long they'll be remade. I have no idea. I just got the email that everybody else got. So we pre-ordered, and they're only doing 24 and 26. They have not mentioned 28. So if you want some Pat Carson needles, size 24 or size 26, go on our site and then click to be notified. When they come in, we'll email you. Based on the number of clicks we get on that product, because Kevin and I actually watch that stuff very closely, will depend on how many we order. So if you're interested, just click there. And they're not going to come until July. I think it said late July. But it was just announced yesterday. It was actually announced during FlossTube, so then we got very confused because we didn't know about it ahead of time. We got some new fiber on a whim. And so I'm going to show you those first. This is Cappuccino 40 count. $14 count Hazelwood. $16 count Dulce de Leche. I don't know how to say it, sorry. Don't laugh at me. They're laughing at me. Okay, this is 20 count Hazelwood. And this is what's interesting. This is 14 count, and this is 20 count. And so you can just see how the dye takes differently. Cafe au lait and 32 count. $40 count in that same color, Cafe au lait. $32 count Cappuccino. Doesn't that look pretty? It's so pretty. It's like a little rainbow. Neutral rainbow. And this is 36 count Cappuccino. So Cappuccino, Cafe au lait, Dolce, whatever, Delice. This is Hazelwood, and this one is Cappuccino. So this one can actually go down here. So those are new fiber on a whim. Now, any fabrics that you guys want us to get, you can always email. We have a product request form, actually. Just fill it out. If we're able to get it and we think we can sell it, we will buy it. 2 more fabrics we got. I wanted to show this one separately. This is Plum 16 count. This was actually requested by a customer. And then we got the thin white pine board that we've had in other sizes. We had a request to get that in 32 count even weave. So we got that in. So guys, I hope you join me and Cheryl for Jolly July. If you've decided what you're gonna stitch on, make sure you comment and let me know. And let me know what your favorite design is that I'm going to be stitching in July, and your favorite design that Cheryl's going to be stitching in. We love to look at your comments. I hope everybody has a wonderful week, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye.